Hello and good morning, everyone. This month, it's all about managing the people page in Salamander Live V3. We've got a lot of people on this call today, so I just want to make sure that I've got everybody joined in. Just go into the lobby here really quick just to make sure. If you have not done so, make sure you mute yourself. I just want to make sure I've done so. Here is our agenda for today. In this training, I'm going to be walking through the entirety of the people page in V3. We're going to look at how to add and edit people records. We're going to look at the manual entry as well as the import process. We're going to look at how to upload an image, so a person's picture as well as other files. We're going to look at how to assign and update qualifications, certifications, and training information. That's going to be what you see here as QCTs. We're going to look at how to print and email people credentials, as well as how to update tag expiration information. We've been getting a lot of information on how to update that information when you look at the personnel record. How to search, sort, and filter personnel data in your data tables. How to view people-specific reports, and more. So there's a lot of stuff on the people side we're going to take a look at. Again, we're looking at version 3. So if you have not converted your account over to version 3 yet, please make sure you do so. We are looking at closing out version 2 at the end of June. So that's June 30th is the close date for version 2. So if you have not converted yet, please make sure you do so. So here is version 3. So here is where we're going to be looking in for version 3 is the people page. So if you've not logged into version 3 yet, you'll see that it looks very different than what you've seen in version 2. So you'll see here in the menu, we still have the same menu as in version 2. You'll see that we've just labeled it a little bit different in the menu. We just call these pages right here. So on the people page, you'll see we've got a dashboard at the top here with some metrics. So it'll show you how many people you have active, how many qualifications, certifications, and training you have expired, how many tags that you've printed are expiring within the next 30 days, and how many tags that you've printed that are expired. These metrics at the top here are clickable. As you click them, they will automatically filter out your table. So your data table will be filtered. You'll see here when I click on people active, it'll filter out my table. So this number right here should match up with your number at the bottom here. So 1507 is what I have at the bottom here. You'll see here, this is, you'll see two tabs at the top here that you'll be able to click to go between. This is your list of people that you have access to. The other tab is for resource availability. So this is a new feature that we're going to be releasing here. Technically, you have access to this right now. This is going to be related to the updated tag app. So this tag app we have not released yet. It will be coming soon in the next few months. I don't have much information on this. We're not going to go over this as of today because it's not going to make any sense on the features that you're going to see within this tab. So we're not going to go over this as of today. So once we release the new tag app, this information that you're going to see within this tab is going to make more sense. So for today, we're going to completely skip this resource availability. If you want to go in there, if you have access, please feel free to play around in there. But again, it doesn't not make any sense for the information that you see in there. We still have a search function that you'll be able to see in here, and then you have your buttons at the top right. There's a new button to add a new person manually, a reports button, and then your columns. So your columns, this right here controls what you see within your data table. So each user in this case, as you're looking at your list of information, you control what you see within your data table by this columns button. So you'll see that within your columns, you can control what you see and what you can hide for information. You'll see in here on the left side is what you have visible, and on the right side is what you have hidden. So you'll see there's a ton of hidden columns. If you want to view it, all you simply do is click the Add button. You can click on it, add it to your visible column, and then from there you can click, drag, and drop it and add it to where you want it to place within your sort. So you can sort your visible from where you want it placed. If you want it up here closer to the top. Again, you can sort this any way that you see fit. So I like adding this last updated column in here so that I know who or which record was the last updated from all the users that have access to the records. So this is just what I like doing. But again, you can control what you like seeing in here. Once you click close, your data table updates, and then you'll be able to see your information as you go in here at a glance. Okay, so that's that columns button right there. From here, you're going to be able to see that there are some indicator icons. These indicator icons you're going to see in here, there's going to be two icons. This very first icon, you're going to either see a green dot or red dot. Green dot, this basically is status. So you're going to see a green dot if it's an active status. You can hover over it and it'll tell you what the status is. So green dot means active. Red dot basically means anything other than active. So when you're creating a brand new record, whether that's through a manual or that's going to be through an import, the status you'll see in here, there's all these different statuses that you're able to add for a person. You'll see that the default is active. If you add anything other than active, it's going to be red. The second dot is going to indicate the print status. So the printing status is going to be completely optional. Okay, so that's only if you choose to put an expiration date when you print an ID. So I'm going to show you that really quick here. So to print, simply click the checkbox and then click print. We'll talk about the printing process in a little bit here, but I just want to show you this really quick. I'm just going to get to that print screen. So printing right here, you'll see issue expiration. This is what controls this expiration date is what controls this dot right here. So if you put an expiration date in here, if this date has not been met yet, you'll see a green dot. If this date has been met, meaning it's expired, you'll see a red dot. If you don't put an expiration date, you won't see a dot at all. That's why some of these don't have a dot. Is because you choose not to put an expiration date when you're printing ID tags. So that's all completely optional to you as an organization when you're printing ID tags. Okay, so that is the explanation for those indicator icons. So let's talk about actually going in and creating records in here. So when creating records, you have two options. There's a manual option and then there is a import option. So let's take a look at the manual option first, because that way we can go in and take a look at all the different fields. So these are the standard fields that come with this version 3. So clicking the plus button, so you'll see that there's all the same tabs, similar tabs that you see within version 2. Okay, so clicking the plus button, you can go in here and manually fill out all the forms. Okay. So in here, status, active, that's the default. Right here, an ID number, it's auto-generated. It's because under my account, I have this turned on. Your account administrator does have the ability to turn this off. This is all controlled by them under the account settings. They can choose to turn this off, which it forces you to go in here and type in a custom ID number. Of course, you can just uncheck that number, delete that, and then type whatever you want in here and include numbers, letters, complete up to you, right? As long as this ID number is less than 15 characters. It can include special characters, letters, numbers. The organization name, so who is the person with? So you'll see by default, it's the organization that I'm with right now. So my organization I'm with is the default. Just know in our next release, this will be empty. So you guys actually being on this call, get this information first. So this is a ticket that we have in right now. By default, in our next release, this will be empty. No longer will this be auto-filled. It's going to now just be empty. It's going to require you to go in and enter in an organization name. So you're going to actually have to type in the organization in which this person is with. So I'm going to type in Moosewood. I'm going to select it from the drop-down. Right? Select it from the drop-down. So you're getting this information right now. The release is not going to come probably for a next, I'm not sure yet. I don't have an ETA on this, probably next week, next couple weeks. I'm not sure. But that's what you're going to see in that next release. If the person's deployable, click the checkbox. People type, this is all optional. Employee type, all optional. Birth date, first name, last name is required. So a couple things to note when you're looking at, if you're looking at an import, you'll see already in an import, these are the four required fields: ID, organization name, first name, and last name. As you can see on here, the ID number, since it's auto-generated, you'll see that in the import, you can leave that blank, which would then auto-generate it. Right, so I'll talk about that in the import as well. Question was, has everyone updated to V3 yet? We're still pulling reports right now. There's still some people are using version 2. So we are looking at contacting those accounts that have not yet converted to version 3 yet. So we'll make sure that everybody does convert to version 2 before obviously we close everything out. But at the end of June, everybody will not have a choice. Okay. When you go into more info, you'll see that it's not auto saving anymore. If you remember for version 2, it auto saves. There's no auto save. If I click cancel, it deletes all the info. Okay, so no auto saving. So I've go to more info. You can add in other ID, student ID, notes, driver's license information, add association. As you know, for add association, this is something that you probably don't want to do until you add more of your people into the database, because it does require you to type in a name here, which pulls from your existing list. So you can select a type from the list here. So if you want to do a reports to, you do have to type in a name. As you type in a name, it's going to pull it from your existing list. Okay. Employment information, what we recommend here is the title. Title prints off on the ID cards, so highly recommend that you put that in here. If you have not seen our standard design, here's a look at our standard design. So the title prints off right here on our standard design. So it's recommended. And then also what we recommend on here is the rates, especially the standard rate. The standard rate is important because as this person, if you're looking to track and account for this person during events, or even if during inventory check-in and check-out, what happens is that as that person gets checked into an event, there's a timestamp. The moment there's a timestamp, the clock starts. And during the cost reports, you'll be able to account for that person the moment that person checks in. You'll be able to pull that person's information within those cost reports and get cost information. But again, you only get that if there's a standard rate and or if there's an account rate. So if you choose not to put a standard rate for your people, you can also choose to put an account rate, which is a default rate. So if you prefer to put, let's say, an average for your people, you can choose to have your account administrator set a default rate at the account level and use that to calculate costs instead. Location contact information, what we recommend in here is an email and at least some sort of contact number, at least a main phone or mobile number. Again, you have all different types of numbers that you can capture in here, and address information. For address, just simply click the plus and then you can add an address. You can add as many addresses as you need to. In here, you can add up to 5. Medical information. What we recommend is down at the bottom here, allergies, medications, emergency contact. And you can add additional emergency contact information in here. And with version 3, you can add more than just one type of phone number for emergency contact. So you can select the type of phone number in here. So if you have a mobile number and then you have the home number for the emergency contact, and now you can also select what the relationship is for that emergency contact. And then of course, custom. Custom fields are controlled by your account administrator. They're the ones that add this in. They can add up to 10 custom fields. And these custom fields are fields that you can import in. So again, that's available with version 3, not with version 2. And you must use our new import template. Once you're done, simply click Save. Once you click Save, this takes you into the profile. You'll see the success your record has been created. Take you into the profile where you can add in additional information. You'll see right here is where you can upload a picture. So pictures cannot be imported in. They must be uploaded one at a time. There's going to be no change in this. So you'll have an option. You can capture or you can upload. Okay, capture and upload. Capturing, if your computer has a camera, or if you want to attach a external webcam, feel free. For uploading, if you have pictures, you can upload. It's very quick and easy. Upload the picture. Let me select a nice picture with good quality. Let me select, here, there's a good picture right here. Click Save. Upload the picture, and there you go. So there's a cropping. So the sizing in this case, there's not yes, there's correct. There's a question on here. Notice there's a version not to rotate images and not change aspect ratio. I will bring this back to our development team about that. I know that there is a ticket on here about editing as well too. There isn't an option to edit. So when you go back in here, there is not a button to edit, change aspect ratio, or to rotate. So I will bring this back to our development team. I know there is a ticket out there for this, but I will again reiterate this back to our development team and just update our ticket on that. So it has been brought to their attention. Thank you for that though. Yes, and also your account administrator controls the default size on this. So for example, if you notice that this sizing is too small or too big, your account administrator is the one that controls the sizing. So yeah, that's the one thing that has been brought up is that there's no editing of this sizing. There's only a zoom in, zoom out, and then just a cropping. So no actual true editing. So that's what everybody's talking about in the chat here. So that's the ticket. We do have a ticket out for this. Down at the bottom here, you'll see there's an option for a signature. Same thing, that ticket goes not just for the picture, but also for the signature section as well too. Now, signature in this case, if your signature section, the box in this case, the default box is too small, again, you'll have to contact your account administrator. They're the ones that control the sizing on this. Okay, so there's a specific size that makes most sense. I usually just have it set for 999 for width and then 500 for height. That's what makes most sense for all of mine. Um, that's what I recommend the sizing for all of the signatures themselves. So that's again is a feature that your account administrator has to go in and set. And that way you can just zoom out and then most signatures will fit. Again, signatures, that's a specific feature. Um, most will not put a signature in there unless you have custom designs where your signatures are going to be printing off on the IDs. Most cases, most organizations are not using this unless you have those custom IDs where you're printing them off on those IDs. Digital tag, unless you have the tag app, you're not going to see that on here. Physical tag, this is something new. The physical tag itself, you're going to have, there's two sections on here. One is going to be on whether or not the ID tag has printed. We'll actually go into an existing tag where there's tag information, that's printed tag information. The other is you're going to see on here is estimated QR code utilization. So estimated QR code utilization, what this all is all about is based on the encodable information that's entered for the individual record. So as the QR code utilization goes up, what happens is that the QR code becomes denser, which can make it more difficult or impossible for it to read or to print. So the QR code itself can only hold so much information. So it's recommended to keep this QR code utilization at 100%, or what I found the maximum is 110%. So you'll see that once you hit 100%, it's going to be at red. What I recommend is keeping that 100 or 110%. That just means that, hey, you're getting near that threshold. You probably don't want to encode any more information into that QR code if you're looking at printing. Now, if you're not looking at printing QR codes or tags at all, then you don't worry about it. But if you're looking at printing, this utilization is extremely important. Okay, because if you're above that threshold, just know that it's either not going to print, or if it does print, your QR code is not going to be readable. It's not going to scan because it's too dense to scan. Okay, so that's, again, you got to pay attention to this. Most of the QR code utilization is going to come from qualifications. That's where most of the utilization comes from. Some of the base information you'll see in here, it's using 37%, is going to be from the title. You'll see in here, the information here, organization name, the title already goes in here, the name is going in there, the state is going in there. If the organization has address information, that's already going in there. That's being utilized in there. And then you'll see a lot of the qualification. That's what's being encoded in there. That takes up a ton of space. So as you start adding qualifications, you'll see this number, this percentage go up. And you'll see that in a little bit here. Okay. Going down the line, all that information that we've talked about so far can be imported in. Okay, can be imported in so far. Files cannot be imported in, but they can be uploaded manually. So files in this case usually are going to be uploaded to support qualifications and training. And again, they can be supported in this case for maybe if this person, if there's other information you're looking at collecting, like for example, if they are deployable and they got to travel and you want to upload driver's licenses or passports, whatever information you want to collect in here, right? So uploading, you can upload any sort of files in this case, as long as the files are not password protected and they're less than 50 megabytes. If you're unsure sure what type of files you can upload, you can always click on this. It'll tell you exactly what type of files you can upload and what you can't. To upload a file, simply click on upload the file. I'm just going to upload a picture real quick here. I'm just going to upload a file. Upload, you'll see it upload in this case. You'll see the picture uploaded in here as well too when it refreshes. You'll see here it is. You'll see there's two images in here that has this icon next to it. This icon signifies that it's a primary image. You'll see primary image. Both of these signifies that there's a primary image in this case. These are signifying that it's related to a signature and related to this primary image. You cannot delete these from here. from here. I'm sorry, I apologize. From here. You can only delete them from over here. Delete here and delete right over here. You'll see there's the hamburger button over here. There's no delete function. You can only download. Now the one that I uploaded from this upload function, I can delete. But I also have the option to view details and edit. So those that I delete from that upload function, I can go in there, add a status, I can add a category, mark it as such. I can write a description. I can do a start date, expiration date. I can mark it as locked, sensitive, private, top secret, shareable. Now, just know as of today, I mean, this marking as such, it doesn't do anything as of today. All it does is it marks it as such. Just know that this is just the stepping stone for a feature for us to be able to set this up for a future release to actually truly make this workable for a future release, that you once you have it marked as locked, it truly is locked. Okay. So that's files. Qualifications and training works very similar. So qualifications and training, everybody has access to Tier 1 federal national qualifications. This one is these folders are controllable by Salamander, so everybody has access to those. The other folders, Tier 2, 3, 4, and 5, is created and controlled by your account administrator. They go in and add those qualifications. So if you don't see any in your Tier 2, 3, 4, and 5, like you don't even see the folders, it's because your account administrators have not created any. If you do see them, it's because your account administrators created some. Okay. So these, again, are created by your account administrators. These are state specific or local or regional, or just if they place them in other, it didn't fall under any of those other categories. Okay. To assign a qualification, simply click within that folder, click on the qualification, and simply click on it to add the qualification. Now, some of these might have prerequisites, like this one has prerequisites. Prerequisites in the case, you have to meet all those prerequisites, meaning these are trainings. You have to add all these trainings first before you are able to add this qualification. If it doesn't have a prerequisite, all of these have prerequisites. Let me add one that does not have a prerequisite. This one doesn't have a prerequisite. It'll say verified. Simply click assign. You'll see this edit qualification screen. If there is a certification number and an issue and expiration date, you have that option to add that. Now you'll see that encode is automatically selected. You can click save to encode. Encode is where it's going to encode into the QR code. Here's the QR code. It's going to encode into that QR code, and it's going to print that code, what's in the parentheses, on the back of the ID. Okay, so that means encode means two things. Encoding QR code, print what's the coded information on the back of the ID. So that means two things. Okay, so that button right there means two things. If you choose not to encode, you can just uncheck it and click save. It still shows up in the record. It's just not going to be printed on the ID. If you scan this in the track app, so I'm going to add another one. So there's a difference between the two, okay? Let me just talk about that. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to uncheck this one. So in the track app, if you have identity verification, if you have that feature, it's only going to verify this one right here. I mean, it's going to check all of them, but it's only going to check this one that's encoded. Because this one is encoded, it's going to check the issue and expiration date of this one that's encoded. This one's going to skip over because it's not encoded. It's not even looking at this one because it's not encoded in that QR code. Now, when you go into the track app and view the profile, you'll be able to see all of the qualifications, whether encoded or not, because the track app is always connected to SalamanderLive. You'll see the full entire list when you go and view the profile within the track app. So whether that person has 50 qualifications of their profile, you'll see every single one listed, but it's only going to verify those 10 or 15 qualifications that's encoded. Okay, questions. Qualification, can we still print, assign, but not print? Yes, you can. you can assign but not print. You can assign all day and choose not to print. Thank you, Brendan, for asking or for answering. And it's the same thing on the training side as well, too. You can add trainings if you want to. If you have another LMS system you're tracking training, you don't have to do it in here, but it's optional if you want to track training in here. Again, training, if you want to encode, you can. I'd say most people don't encode training onto their IDs, but you have that option if you want to encode, or you can just not encode and just track the trainings within that person's record. So it's completely up to you on how you want to do that. The other tabs in this case, collections, assigned equipment, and assigned events, is just information that's grabbing from other parts of the system. So if this person is part of a collection, so collection is just a collective term that we're using for if this person is part of a team or group or unit, if they're built over here in this area called collections, you'll see it listed here. If they're part of a team, it'll show that they're part of a team over here and what's that team called. If they're assigned equipment, this is part of the asset management feature. If they're assigned any sort of inventory or equipment, it'll list what equipment they've been assigned. If they're assigned or if they're part of or checked into an event, you'll see what assignment they've been assigned and what event that is. Okay, you'll see that information here. So that is manually adding a person, So let's look at importing. So importing a person, you'll see that on the wizard side, you'll see here I already have it in the drop down. It's under the wizards. So before it was under the event side over here, it's under the apps, but right now you'll see it under wizards because that's what the import function is. It's a wizard. So click wizards, click import people. Under import people, you'll see that there is going to be two click here options. So there's two areas where you're going to find the import template. So we do have an import template and a quick reference guide. I highly recommend you use our template and to view our instructional guide. So you'll see there's two click here buttons that are blue. Those are clickable buttons. So click here to download the instructions, which is going to get you this. And click here to download the CSV template. Those are two areas. The other area that you're going to find it is under the learning. So if you click on learning, click on SalamanderLive V3 documents, you'll see it's automatically selected. Click on user guides, you'll see there is the people import quick reference guide, and then you'll see under templates is where you're going to find the templates. Click the folder and you'll see people import template. So I highly recommend you use the template. So for the import guide, I recommend you review this first. We have a checklist. We have a section that talks about how to prepare the import file. So your source file tells you even how to find the import template. Talks about requirements. So requirements, you can work in a CSV. So in this case, you can work in an Excel file, but when you do the import, it has to be saved as a CSV file. Has to be the most basic text file only when you complete the import. Talks about field specifications, required information, organization name, ID, and maximum records, and then some considerations. And then we have here listed all the column headers. So column headers, within our import template, we have all the column headers. They're named specifically. They have to be named specifically in order to be able to map to the correct fields within SalamanderLive. So these column headers, do not change them on the import template. And then we have the accepted formats and values, max length, and then some examples. Okay. And then some of these have pick lists. So you have to enter in specifically the specific values. So like, for example, status can be AC or active. Or if you want to put something else in there, for example, expired, you can put EX, or you can put expired in there. So, and I even have notes in here for if you leave the cell empty, it's going to default to active. Okay, so definitely review this so that you know exactly how to fill out the form. The template itself looks like this. So I just filled out a a base one. So the template itself is an empty form. You'll see here that we have all the column headers named as such. So there's 108 column headers in here. You'll see all the column headers named as such. Now, if you don't want to use all the column headers, delete the ones that you're not using. It keeps your import file nice and clean. So if you're not using prefix, delete it from here. Not using suffix, delete it. Okay. ID in this case, you'll see I have two samples. I have two that I'm using custom. I have two I'm using system generated. So if you're using a system generated, leave the ID field blank. Organization name is required. It has to be exact. So you have to look in Salamander Live. How is the name spelt? If you have apostrophes, if you have spaces, if you have dots, it has to be exact the way you have it in Salamander Live. If you have any variations, you're going to have errors in your import. Okay. Names. So you'll see in here, these are the 4 required fields. Have to include these in every single import. The rest of this stuff, all these other columns, E through etc., all optional. If all you wanted to do was to create a basic record, all you need to fill was A, B, C, D, and that's it, you're done. Is there a way to add content with breaks? 3 lines of info. Content with breaks, 3 lines of info. Can you expand on what you're talking about, David? You can unmute yourself and ask if it's easier.
Yeah, like for example, if you have a line of information and then, you know, how in a Microsoft Doc you hit enter and it just right below it, then you add another line, hit enter right below it. It's almost like a bullet point, but without the bullet points, you know, that type of information. Because usually when you import data, it's in a string and it does not break. And so when it actually populates the field, you have to manually go in there and break it to where you want that one line to go underneath that first line. Does that make sense?
I mean,
so if you
definitely
had
don't.
if you had 50 characters, or let's say 246, you had 60 characters, and you wanted you know, 2 lines, 30 in the first row, 30 in the second row. It would populate in one string of 60, and then you'd have to go into the record, find that 30th character, hit enter, then below that you'd have you know, the second line, which would be another 30 characters. That's been my experience.
Okay. So in this case, what it's looking at is the field itself. So it's looking at the
Yeah,
max characters. So in this
right.
case, if the ID field is 15 characters and you have above 15 characters, it stops at 15 characters.
Yeah, but in
ID
the
field.
notes field,
Oh, in the notes. Yeah, in the notes
so
field.
for example, if you put it on our cards, on the back of them, we want 3 lines of information, like, you know, the facility name, phone number, and like Capitol Police or something. So in order for that to happen, if you put in all the information, it comes in one string, and it's super small. So what we do is, I don't even know if it's possible, because the way it reads the data is one string.
Yes, yes, it does. It reads it all in one string.
Okay.
It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't stop it where it says
There's no
15
workaround
characters.
there.
Yeah, there is no
Yeah.
workaround on that where it stops and says, oh, I read it 15 characters. It stops there, does a paragraph, and
Yeah,
then it does the
yeah.
next 15 characters. And it's just one
Okay.
string. It's a note
Yep.
section. Yeah, it's the most basic text when it
Yep.
puts it into the
All
system.
right. No, I
Yes,
appreciate that.
you're
Thanks.
welcome. You're
Yep,
welcome.
yep, yep.
Any other questions on this here? Any other questions? All right, save your file, browse, save it as a CSV file. If you worked on this as an Excel file, now if you had all this fancy formatting, just know that as you save it as a CSV file, that formatting may not save. So I'm going to save this as my file. I'll name it as my file 23. Save my desktop. When you do your import, all you're going to do is go to Wizards, Import People, choose your file, go to where you saved your file. There it is, my import 23. Upload file. You're going to see the success, upload complete, and then you're going to need to check your email. Now, the email it goes to is your email that's within your profile. That's important. Your email that's within your profile, what you saved within your profile. So you should see your email. I've got my email. Here's my email. Perfect import. So how do I know? I see in here it says 4 processed and 4 added. Now I see these warnings. I'm just going to ignore them because I'm going to always see these. Qualification code 1 is not valid, has been skipped. I didn't add anything. You're going to always see this in here. It's just a qualification code for that code column. All it is that qualification code column 1, this right here. We don't have anything in there. It's a coding on the back end. Just ignore it. You're going to see that. Just ignore it. So this is a perfect import. This is ideal. This is what you want to see is your processed records should match up with your added or your updated. That's what you want to see is whatever you added or you updated should match up. So if I go into Salamander Live, go into my people, and I go into my updated, my last updated, and I refresh, I go to and sort newest to oldest, I should see my new people in there, and there they are. So update today at 10:42 a.m. and here they are. And there's their new ID numbers. Now, if I wanted to update this information, I can. So how do you update existing data? How do I update existing data? So going forward, if I want to update, I can always just click on that record, right? You can always click on that record. You can click the edit button and then go in there and edit information manually. That's always an option. But if you want to update multiple records, there's a multi-edit function. You can always click on multiple records. This is if you have the same edits for multiple people. But again, with this option, there's limited information to edit this way. So there's a multi-edit function, but there's, again, limited information. All you can edit is status. You can edit organization. You can edit and mark them as deployable. You can change your status. You can change rates. That's it with this function. So again, limited information. The best way and easiest way I'd say if you're looking at doing a multi-edit is through an import for multiple people. So in this case, let's say I have multiple records I'm looking at importing. Let's say I'm looking at editing these 5 records. I'm doing the same different edits for these 5 records. I'm going to select these 5 records. There is this report called import CSV. So I'm going to go to my reports button, and when scroll down, there's this report called import CSV. This report, what it does is it exports those records into an import ready document. Every single field that's been captured for those records I selected will be available in this report. I can update those records and then re-import that back in, and it's going to override the information for those records. Okay. Question, duplicate ID, just update. Duplicate ID, just update. Duplicate ID, just update. Pete, can you clarify your question? So these are just updating. So in an update for an import CSV, I'm going to talk about what you cannot update in this and what you can. Okay, so organization name, ID. These are the two fields you cannot touch. Okay, so ID, you'll see that it goes into the scientific notation for those system generate IDs. All you need to do is make sure you change those into ID numbers. Just change it to ID, move the decimal point over. Okay, so do not touch columns A and B. So organization name and ID, don't touch those. If the person has a name change or last name, let's say they got married and they got a name change, you can change their names. So let's say she changed her name. She now is Moore. If you enter a duplicate ID number, it should update the person's record. No, it does not. If you enter a duplicate ID number, it's going to create a brand new record for this person. So City of Norwood, Crystal Moore, or let's just revert it back. If you change her ID number, so let's change her ID number to, it's going to create a brand new record for her with this ID number. It does not update her. Okay, you cannot change an ID number through an import. If you want to change an ID number, you must go into Salamander Live and update her ID number through Salamander Live. You got to go in here and update her ID number manually. Okay, do not update an ID number through an import. It will create a brand new record for her. Okay, so do not do that through an import. Okay, so if you need to change her ID number, manually edit only. Go in here, manually edit her ID number right from here. If you do it through here, it's going to create her a brand new record. She's going to have two records. Two records. Is there a way to auto-generate a new ID number after the record has been created? We used the employee's number in the past, but our chief wants to move away from that on our badges. There is not. Once you custom create, it's custom created in the system. So in Salamander Live, there really isn't a way. So once you go in here, once you custom create it, it's custom created. Like you really can't uncheck it to create it. The only way is you have to delete the record and recreate it. But then you lose history. So if you don't care about history, you can re-import that person in. So for example, so you see how this person is in the system in here. If you don't care about history and you don't, like for example, you don't care about this person's history, you can export everybody out, delete their record, and then re-import them back in, and then delete their ID numbers, and then re-import them back in. So that's the only way, Tanya. But if you care about history, I would not do it. I would not do it. All right, let me go back here to the import document. So in this case, import the information so you can update the information as needed. So in the case if they have a title change, if they are now deployable, you can put yes in this case. Let's say it's all yes. It's yes now. They have um, additional information. Let's say they have email information now. See, that's all the same email. They have new email information. Right. Email information, etc. Right? So all you're going to do is put new information in here. You got all new email information, phone numbers. 6. Okay, I missed one. Okay, so we've got their information in here, and I'm going to update. So all I do is I double check, make sure everything's here. I'm going to click save. Okay, so go ahead and save as, save your file where you want it to save. Desktop 51. Okay. Go back to Salamander Live, Wizards, import, choose file, 51, upload. Go to people, wait for my import document. And here it is. Perfect import. Again, do small batches. If you do small batches, more than likely, and especially when it's your first couple time, you'll see that you're not going to have a lot of issues. There are 5 process, 5 updated, 0 issues, right? So everything updated perfectly. Same issue, qualification code. Again, so I go in Salamander Live, refresh, you'll see it's going to update the last updated 10:52 a.m. Okay. So again, if I added the new info in here, I'll see the new info in here. So if I put in here deployable info, it should say yes now. If I put mobile number in here, it's going to show that info as well as the email. So you see here, here's the mobile number, here's the email that I uploaded, and now it says true for deployable. So you see that all that imported through what I just completed. So that's importing. Questions on importing? Okay. That's importing. Now printing and emailing, you'll see that printing and emailing, in this case, let me make sure that I email someone that actually has a true email. We do training. So filtering in this case, filtering, you'll see here I filtered by last updated email. So filtering, you'll see that all these columns have a little drop down caret. That's how you filter and you can sort, is just by clicking. Before this last release, you weren't able to do a multi-filter. Now we've actually expanded that. We did a release that allowed you to multi-filter. So you can click on it again. Before it was locked, but you can actually click on it again and add another filter in there. So if I want to do another email, I can do it again. So you can click on it, add another email, or you can do it by organization. So I just filtered by email. So in this case, if I wanted to email someone, I can email them. But in this case, I'm looking at sending out a credential. So printing and emailing credentials, super simple, right? So once I have verified that they have an email on file, it's really, really simple in this case. Let me just refresh my page here. It's really simple in this case. If they have an email on file, I can just click the checkbox next to their name, and you'll see there's all these functions that appear at the top here. So emailing credential is this third option right here. All I do is have to click that checkbox or that box right there, that icon. You'll see a success credentials emailed. It's going to look like this. It's going to be sent out to their email, and it's going to look like this. So think of this as a temporary credential. So if you didn't have time to print off a actual hard card or a permanent ID, or if your organization is not printing off hard cards and this is what you're using for your events, it works. So it's a QR code. This is the same QR code that's printed off on the ID cards. The difference is that this doesn't have an expiration. Um, it doesn't count towards your print counts, but it works the same. So they can pop this up on their phone. They can get scanned in. For actual printing, talked about it earlier. For printing, make sure that you're printing off on a computer that has the print license key installed. For printing, you have a print license key installed, and you have to and have the print control software installed. So those are the two things that you have to have installed, and of course your printer drivers installed, right? So there's a whole line of items that you have to have installed on the computer in order to print from Salamander Live. So I have a printing training that I did earlier last year. If you want to go through on our Salamander YouTube channel, I have that training on there. I'll probably be doing another one again to talk about printing. But go through that printing training, and you'll be able to walk through that printing process again. But again, once you have all the printing requirements, you'll be able to get to this print window. Select your printer from the drop down, select your design. We have all these different designs that you'll be able to print from. If you're curious about what all these designs are, again, all these designs, the ones that, I mean, again, some of these are custom designs, but any of these that says R card to R 8.5 to R, not the R rapid tag ones, but the R 2x1 person and the R, yeah, the R person ones. Those are all ones that comes with the print control software. Okay. You'll find those all in our default tag design user guide. So all of those are within this tag user guide. So these are all that comes with that our standard print control software. You can select your number of copies, so 5 copies per print per person. You can choose your issue and expiration date. So that's printing. Once you print and you choose an issue and expiration date, you'll see that that information now goes into your physical tag section. That issue date gets saved here, and the tag expiration date gets saved here. We get that question a lot because we'll see that there's a red line or a red outline that goes right here, and we get that question a lot. I think I've seen that email come through. I don't even know how many times now, where they'll see this red dot next to it, and they're like, how do I get rid of this? How do I update this? They'll see this expired, and they're like, how do I update this information? The only way to update this information, I mean, technically there's 2 ways to update this information. The best way to update this information is to reprint this person's tag and choose a new expiration date. That's the best way. To reprint it, choose which you're going to choose a new issue date and new expiration date. You can also, through an import, change the tag expiration date. But again, on their ID tag, it's going to have their old expiration date. So that's not the recommended way. I just would reprint them a new tag. So that's reprinting. We look through what we have here. Search, sort, and then view people reports. So last but not least, I know we're running out of time here, is reports. So we got a ton of reports here. Reports you're going to see is just right here. It's that middle button for reports. We got a ton of different reports in this case. A lot of reports. We looked at the import CSV already, but we got a lot of different reports. A lot of these are PDF available. Some of these are CSV, and some of these are CSV, and some of these are Excel. Okay, so one of these reports is CSV export report. This CSV export report is the only one that is customizable. This one is based off of your data table. So we get that question a lot as well too, is how do I customize and get a customized report? Well, you go in here, you can sort your data table and then add the column headers that you want, and then pull this specific report, the CSV export report, and then you've got a customized report. All these other reports right here are going to be standard out of the box reports. So postal code, copies printed, people by qualification. So if you're looking at, you know, event management, you're looking at pulling certain qualifications or looking at people that have certain qualifications for your planned event. You can go through this report and then look at the people that have certain qualifications that you need for your specific event and then put them in your roster. So we've got a lot of different types of reports that can help you figure out how to plan for your different types of events. Other than that, that is the people side of Salamander Live. What other questions do you have for me? Let me see what else we have in here. Will my printing key with version 2 still work for the version 3 update? Yes. Thank you, Brendan, for answering that question. Yes. So printing keys transfer right over to version 3. Nothing is going to break from version 2 to version 3. Everything transfers right over. All your records, all your information, all your images, all your files, all your licenses from version 3, everything gets merged and transferred right over to version 2 or version 3. You do not lose anything from version 2 to version 3. Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, I'll put my contact information up here. Does someone have questions? All right, my contact information is up here. If you have any training questions, please contact me at training@salamanderlive.com. You can also reach me at my 877 number here. If you have any support questions, reach out here as well, or support@salamanderlive.com, or reach out to your local rep. Is the price for version 3 more than version 2? It should be the same price, but again, contact your local sales rep and they'll be able to provide you that information. I'm not on the sales side, so I can't answer that question for you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Um, so I attended a training a few months back, and another municipality had a organization that they created for retired or resigned or however. And we were interested in doing that. But then somebody made a mention about when you print credentials that it could mess with that somehow. So my question was more, do we leave retired, because we do print retired badges for our people who leave. Do I need to leave them in their respective organization, or is it still okay to move them to that archived organization? I just didn't know if that would mess with their status moving them to the archived.
It really depends on how you're doing it.
Okay.
Because it depends on the number of people that you have, right? Because your package is dependent on the number of people that you have in this case. Some people, when they do retired, they'll put them in they'll put them as retired, but they'll delete them from the system and they'll print them an ID tag. And so when sometimes they'll scan them in when they are actively responding to an event and they'll be not recognized in the system. They'll be found as unknown. Sometimes they'll put them as an organization as retired. And then when they scan them in, they'll populate as retired. and they'll be recognized as red. So you'll see in here in the system, all retired individuals will be in the system. You see this person's retired, they're red. So you scan them in the system through the track app, they'll pop up as retired and they'll pop up as a warning through our um, identity verification feature. So it depends on what you're using to scan them in and how and what features you're using to scan them in and how your people are verifying them and vetting them. So
We,
there's no issues with you scanning them and how you're printing them. It's just how you're identifying them and what's your internal process.
okay. See, and we hadn't created that. We just thought that was a great idea. Because we won't delete them. We want them in there. We need that. We need those historical records. And I'm sure after so many years or whatever the requirement is, we can. But for that first, we'll say 7 years, we want to make sure we still have them. So instead of just
Mm.
flooding our original organization with a bunch of retired or resigned or whatever the case may be, but I didn't know if it would just be better to keep retired in the original organization so that way we don't have any issues if they do end up showing up for an event.
Okay. What I've seen some organizations do is they create a new organization. It's the same org, but they'll do the same org, but they'll call, like, for example, if it was Anywhere Fire Department, they will say RET and then Anywhere Fire Department. But they would have another organization called Anywhere Fire Department, which is the actual fire department. And they'll have in the ID number, the actual ID number, and then the ID number itself would be the same ID number, but it'll be RET in the ID number. So they'll know it's the same organization, but all the retirees would go into that organization.
And as long as that ID number stays the same, it won't affect them. We're good to
Well,
go.
it's the same ID, but it has that RET in it. So
Right.
it's still a different ID, but it has
Okay.
RET in it, so it still identifies it as a different ID number.
Okay.
Yep. It's still unique in that aspect.
Okay.
Leah,
Yes.
I just have a follow-up question on that. If you have a universe of users who are accessing data collectively, and let's say you have 12,000 records or something, and you want to create partitions amongst different data sets.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we have one facility here and one facility over there, and we want the users over at facility A, we don't want them accessing or viewing records from facility B. So creating unique organizational numbers then would be the way to do that from a data perspective then. Is that?
Yes. So your organizations themselves, when you create them, the naming conventions, how you create them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you create your organizations, if you create them, whatever they're under as, what gives those people access is based off on the security user side.
Okay. And
Okay.
so as an administrator, you would assign users to that organization and they would only
Correct.
be able to see that data.
Correct. And then you can assign them a single org, or you can say, I'm going to give them access to that org and that branch.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's creating partitions amongst your
Yes.
universe of data.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And then you
All
can
right.
say, I want to give them uh, that single org, or that org and three other orgs, or I want that single
Right.
org and that branch and maybe two other branches.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
All right.
partitioning that way.
All right. Oh, okay. Thanks. That's
You're welcome.
perfect.
Let's see here. Another question. I have multiple people that are members of multiple fire departments. If I make a copy of their record, it will create a copy. When I go to change the copy's organization to the other org, it pops up a message. Physical tag details are linked to the organization. Changing the organization will result in clearing out the physical tag details. This clears out all the user's qualifications and training. Let's see here. So you're going in here. So Pete, so you're going in here. So let's say you have Mr. Scott Ibarra. So Mr. Scott Ibarra, and then you are going in here and creating copies. So Scott Ibarra, and let's say he is a part of multiple fire departments. So let's say 3. Just going to do a quick copy in here. Newest to oldest. So Scott Ibarra, so you're switching his organization. So you'll see in here that they created additional 3 copies in this case and assigned him. So you'll see here it assigned him new ID numbers in here. Same titles, same org. So you're going in here, it's changing his organization. Is that what you're doing? So he's from, okay, we're going to change him to Moosewood Fire Department, to new fire department. So physical tag, changing organization result and clearing out the physical tag details. Is that what you're seeing? Yes. So basically what this is doing is it's clearing out the physical tag details. So this is telling you that whatever items that was tied to this, because you see that you're changing the organization. All this stuff is still tied to this, but the organization itself is clearing out the organization. You'll see the qualifications in this case. If he had any qualifications or training, if he did have any, he's not going to have technically those. If he did have any, I'm going to see in here. Yeah, it clears all those out, and you'll have to add those back in. These are all the ones that he had before. These are all the qualifications he had before. And then when I added him to Moosewood Fire Department, it cleared out all of those. Now, I'd have to double check. In the past, we didn't have those clear out, but I'll have to double check on why those cleared out. In the past, we never had those cleared out. It should have copied those, but I'll have to double. Yes, I'll have to double check on that, Pete, on why we had that cleared out again. I'm not sure if it's if there was a cause and effect on that, because in version 2 we never had the qualifications cleared out. I don't know if there was a reason why we had to clear that out. I will double check with my team on why in this version we cleared that out. I will get back to you on that. Could you provide your email address, or you can private message me your email address, and or if you want to put it in here, I will get an answer to you on that. Let me write that down. Oh, let me just put that in an email real quick here before I forget. Org change. Okay, quals disappear. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Any other questions or things that you guys find? These are good finds. We want to make sure that these kind of bugs or things that you guys find, we want to make sure that we get those taken care of. Especially if there's differences between like version 2 and version 3, because sometimes there are some changes and we made those changes for a reason. Usually it's to there is a reason why it's done that way. But anything else? Anything else? Ah, yes, Pat. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Pat, yes, I will let you know as we as I find an answer to that. All right. Any other questions? For those that have outstanding questions, I will make sure to get it answered to you. If not today, by tomorrow or by the end of the week. It just depends on how fast they can get and answered back to me. But I will get that as soon as I can and I'll reach back out. If you have additional questions as you're working through the system, please reach out again, either to me or support or to your local rep, and we'll get those answers as soon as we can. Thank you all so much for joining with me today. If you want to come back and see this again, come back and join me on the 22nd. Other than that, come back and join me next month. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Take care. Stay cool out there.